comparative analysis of a state. And look, if we want to analyze the analysis of a state, comparative analysis of a state, we can begin with how we can, because contemporary analysis is more important. But in order to coming over the contemporary analysis, why not begin from the basics? And in the beginning, there was the emergence of city-state. In Greek age, there was city-state or a smaller state, and at that time, city-state or known as a polis, city-state in Greek age, that is a polis, and during polis, there was no difference between state and society. It means community and state were used interchangeably. In that way, the concept of sovereignty is not emerged during Greek age. In Greek age, city-state were important. In Greek age, we have emphasized over city-state, and city-state were a smaller state, and the largest, it means most populated cities, if you want to count the population of most populated city-state, it was around 30 to 40,000. That was a condition in Greek age. But after Greek age, state changed into a state of Roman Empire. So now one of the powerful, large state, it come in form of Roman Empire. But before city-state, you can write the form of a state, that is an Oriental state. Whether it is comparative politics or political theory, this criticism is very often labeled against the political theory that it is West-centric. Sorry, it is Eurocentric. And why it is West-centric and Eurocentric? This is a good example. See why we can't count that Magad Empire was also a state. Lichavi, Avantika. See, it means they can be categorized as an Oriental state. But in the writings of Western scholars, Oriental state are overlooked. And that is a habitual, and this is the reason probably we have started in this way. Therefore, emergence of city-state. Why this is the first emergence of a state? Why we are not counting the Oriental state? In that context, if you are starting the emergence of a state from Oriental state, it's okay. And that is more appropriate. That's why we can't start from Oriental state, only from the city-state. Then next, Roman Empire. Therefore, you can write from Oriental state before the city-state. There is no problem in that. And in Roman Empire, see, this was one of the largest state in Europe. This was a stronger state. It was a largest state. It was more unified, not decentralized. It was Roman Empire was more unified. It was a unified and kept a centralized power, a centralized source of power. So centralization was very important in the Roman Empire. And after Roman Empire, see, in medieval age, a kind of decentralized state came into existence. In feudal stage, in medieval age, during feudal time, or during medieval age, see, state was more decentralized because on the one hand there is a monarch, on the other there was church, on the other there is a feudal lord, there was church, there was a... See, in what happens in the medieval age, the various groups were fighting with each other for getting power. And in that context, the fight between church and state was very notorious. And in that context only, the concept of two swords we read out. Like two swords are a symbolic concept which refers the two centers of power, and that was church and monarchy. And at that time, monarch was not powerful enough because church was not powerful, but church levied the taxes too. It means church was not performing the religious function, but it was somehow intervening into material and economic functions too. And monarch was very much dependent over feudal lord for their army, for their armed assistance. It means in that time too, there is no concept of sovereignty. And this is reason the notion of sovereignty emerged in modern age. And with the emergence of sovereignty, concept of city-state change into nation-state. So how this we can understand the comparative analysis of a state. Therefore, this kind of decentralized state now change into nation-state. City-state change into nation-state, and this was really important transformation. That how city-state is changed into nation-state, and if you look the first, there are three variants of nation-state. And presently, because nation-state somehow supported by liberal ideology, and in modern age, with the emergence of nation-state, there was emergence of liberal ideology too. And look, first nation-state came with emergence of absolute monarchy. That's very important. And with that absolute monarchy, the concept of sovereignty came into existence. And sovereignty simply means state applied the supreme power over any particular territory, because state was keeping their own army, state was keeping their own police. This was the first occasion when state maintained their own professional army. State was not dependent over the feudal lords, but it is army, police, and here state became a regulatory factor. State became very important instrument. And you remember what Bodin, the scholar like Bodin, when they propounded the notion of sovereignty, Bodin propounded notion of sovereignty because of the kind of civil war going on in the European nations. Civil war can also be categorized as a religious war, because two factions of Christianity, Protestant and Catholic, they were fighting with each other. And a new kind of mercantilist class was emerging in Europe. And can you imagine, with that kind of fight, why there was a need of sovereignty? Because there was a need of a supreme power to maintain law and order. Because we can't imagine a stable government and how we can involve in trade, how we can involve in business. Therefore, the mercantilists who are involving in trade with one nation to other, they were looking for a more stable government, a stronger government, and they were not at all satisfied with that kind of decentralized government, because the powerful role of church goes against the interest of traders, because church always preach that people should involve in the religious meeting, people should more willing to seek heaven or salvation rather than try to get the material things. Therefore, the preaching of church was not at all beneficial for the traders. In that way, traders were very much willing to support a very powerful monarch, a strong monarch, which can at least maintain peace and stability, and which can at least provide security for the traders. Because without security, without stability, how we can imagine trade? Peace is a prerequisite. In that context, sovereignty emerged in Europe, and in that context, Bodin is defining the sovereignty. Had religious war been not in Europe, we could never see probably the emergence of sovereignty. And then city-state is changed into nation-state. City-state is changed into nation-state. And this nation-state somehow again changed, because gradually, once stability was there, Once sovereignty was established there, and if you want to define that meaning of modern state, then the definition of Max Weber is very appropriate. How Max Weber defined the state? Max Weber says that state is a over monopolizing over the violence in a particular territory. Just you listen the term. State is monopolizing over the violence. It means the violence is a right of a state only, not other institution. State monopolize over violence because why there is army for violence? Army, somehow there is army, police. They are not for preaching the peace. They are somehow resort the force. And therefore there is army, there is a police, and they are the monopolizing a kind of power of violence, but that violence over a particular territory. It means state is a territorial concept. And same time Max Weber says that this violence is legitimate. Legitimacy is the key. It means a state also use violence, but a particular terrorist organization may also involve in a violence. In that case, which violence is legitimate? The violence of a state is legitimate. Violence of terrorist organization is not legitimate. In that way, we have to accept the definition of Max Weber, who says that a state monopolizes over the violence in a particular territory, but that violence is a legitimate. So in that context, the concept of nation state emerged, and the notion of absolute sovereignty came into existence, and how Bodin propounded that. But once European nation state were industrialized, once it was urbanized, then traders became very important and new capitalist class emerged in Europe. And this new capitalist class supported the peace and stability in the state, but same time they have demanded liberty too, equality too. And for them, only power of a state is not sufficient. Because what is sovereignty? Supreme power of a state. Sovereignty means supreme power of a state, and supreme power for what? For making a law, for penalizing the people, for regulating the behavior of people. And if a state becomes supreme power, it means church, feudal lord, nobody is more powerful than a state. That became very clear. And then it was a new age of absolute monarchy. But later, because of industrialization of Europe, because of a emergence of a new capitalist class, then this nation state became democratic. And now the sovereignty of a state emerged in the sovereignty of a people. And that was important transformation. Then this nation state became democratic, and few nations adopted. Then constitutionalism, liberty, constitutionalism, liberty became the fundamental tenets of that nation state. Liberty, constitutionalism, dignity of the people, and that became the cardinal principle of that nation state. It means now nation state is associated itself with the liberal ideology. And here sovereignty of a state, sovereignty of a monarch is changed to sovereignty of people. And that is all about democracy. Although a state continuing to maintain army and police. Army and police are a very important branch of a state. Therefore, regulative function of a state is not came to an end. Because the purpose of a state is to maintain law and order. Police is there, army is there, and that is a proper function of a state. And that is a new emergence of a state, liberal state, nation state. But next, now state become democratic, state but now regulative. And while studying the liberal theory of a state, we know that how this liberal theory became welfare state and then a new liberal state. But here we want to see in a different direction. And once state became democratic, now once state became democratic, then again a next version of a nation state emerged. Because here next version of a nation state emerged. And why this next version of nation state emerged? And then we have to compare. We have to see a next comparison. Look how liberal state or a nation state, because liberal state believe in nation state. See, the first version of liberal state was monarchy, but that monarchy somehow is substituted by a liberal democratic state, that is that monarchy changed into the parliamentary form of government. And parliamentary government that was adopted in a state at the US, and then it was a presidential in US and parliamentary in UK. So that was a liberal state. That was a nation state. It became democratic, where the power of people became very important, and probably in the context of Parliament of England, in the context of Parliament of UK, Austin defined the notion of sovereignty, and therefore, and Austin says that there is single center of sovereignty, and sovereignty in fact means single center of power. Sovereignty means implies that no decentralization of power, no division of power, because division of power means destruction of power. Therefore, here we can remove the US, because Austin in fact defined the entire concept of sovereignty in context of UK. Therefore, the liberal state was practiced in form of parliamentary form of government. Somewhere it was a presidential. Therefore, it became a liberal state, a democratic state. But same time, it intact the very concept of sovereignty. They also believe in the basic concept of sovereignty, that nation state. See, and that is known as what Austin defined, a monoist concept of sovereignty. State became powerful institution. Now state became democratic, but it means liberal state first overthrown the monarchical form of a state. So liberal state first came in a confrontation with a monarchical form of a state, and that was an absolute state. But now that problem is gone since the state became democratic. Now the power of people became more important. But in 20th century, liberal state received the challenge. In 20th century especially, liberal state received the challenge, one from fascist state. How? Liberal state, because it is a liberal state. Liberal state receive a liberal democratic state. Oh, see, it faced a challenge, and challenge was very serious. It means first it was from the fascist government, fascist state. And see, fascist state was a totalitarian state. It was a totalitarian state, and totalitarian state was a worst form of repression of power than authoritarian state. It was a more exploitative. It was more coercive than authoritarian state once practiced by the monarch of the world. And see, totalitarian itself speak that each and every activity of individual, say it may be a religious, see, education, cultural, economic, political, means you can't imagine any part of our activity is away from the encroachment of a state, away from the domain of a state, and that is a totalitarian state. And that is a totalitarian state. And that is very important. In totalitarian, there was no concept of liberty, equality was suppressed, there was no provision of a constitutional government, constitutional law. And that totalitarian state somehow, see, suppress the people, and therefore they have set up a kind of terror machine. And they have not only suppressed the individual, but very individuality. It means separate identity of individual's crust, and it means only state, and a kind of ultra nationalism that was promoted by fascist state. It promoted ultra nationalism, and therefore what happened? Result was Second World War. It was expansionism, imperialist state, a very powerful state, which state was always ready for a war, and therefore it created very much a war, not only imperialism, it means expansionism. Somehow the peace of liberal state was come in danger. It was broken altogether. And see, that was the force of that fascist state. And fascist states means they have control over economy. And see, they control over the religion too. They have control over culture too. Police and army was obviously under control of a state. So that was a totalitarian state. One party government. There was only one party was allowed to. There was a one party government. Can you imagine the participation? And not only one party government, it was some sort of personality cult. It was a worshipping of personality. Therefore, Mussolini always says that whatever I am saying is always right. And rest of people should supposed to follow me rather than raising the question to me. And that was the way how fascist state deals with. And this was really a great challenge for the liberal state, for a sovereign nation state. And on the other hand, after October 1970, second was a Marxist state, a communist state. Although you know that Marx was never advocated for a, Marx thought that their larger goal was to make a communist society. But in practice, what happened? The dictatorship of proletariat was established. The dictatorship of proletariat was established in the Marxist state. And see, that was dictatorship of proletariat, but practically it was also kind of one-party government. This was also led by one-party government, and critics also says that this was second version of totalitarian government. And see why totalitarian government is different from authoritarian government. In authoritarian government, what happens? State control only over the political life of people. What happens in authoritarian form of government? State will act against the people who are revolting as government, who are protesting as government. Otherwise, state will never interfere in their religion, their culture, their economy. These are independent in authoritarian mode of government. But in totalitarian, it was not. And therefore, critics says that Marxist was the second version of totalitarian government. And Stalin said it was state capitalism. Stalin said that no, it was state capitalism. See, totalitarian government means there may be a debate here, because the people who are more committed with Marxism, they are not agree to accept that no, Marxism was not totalitarian. See, as far as the theory and philosophy is concerned, Marxism and fascism are not meeting anywhere. Marxism and fascism are in fact two banks of a river. We can't imagine that both will meet ever, because Marxists are very much progressive. Marxists are looking for the empowerment of humanity, and Marxists are the rationalist. They don't believe in their religion, tradition, custom. They are rationalist. But fascists are, they believe that they never believe in reason. Fascists are warmongers. Fascists believe in leadership. Fascist, see emotion, ideology, that is more important. And for Marx, it is economy is more important. Therefore, theoretically, philosophically, it is very much right to say that Marxism and fascism are two opposite concepts, two opposite ideology. it is wrong to compare between Marxism and fascism, but Sabine says that, and it appears very right. As far as a philosophy is concerned, theory is concerned, both are different. But as far as a form of government, both appear same. Again, I am saying nature of a state is not same. See, whenever we are saying nature of a state means state is machine or state is an organ. Therefore, for Marx, state is a machine. Marx always accepted that state is a class machine, mechanistic concept, class machine. But they have accepted state is like organ. Organic concept of a state means a state is compared with the human body. And see, just we are organ, just a human body is like a state, and therefore different organs of body, and they are secondary to the body. They exist only in terms of body. So body is more important than organs, although each and every organ is interdependent with each other. Similarly, organic state says that individual is just like an organ of a full body, and body is more important than organ, and therefore fascists never provide liberty, equality to individual. So you have to remember the fact that nature of a state is different. As far as the nature of a state, that is a mechanical, and they believe in organic state. Organic state is like a human being. Organic state means state is like a human being. And here, mechanistic state, and whenever we are saying state is like a human being, it's natural. And just like human being is more important than parts, similarly, state is more important than individual. And in that case, what Marxist state believe that no, state is like machine. It's not like human being, artificial, made by the people. It's not natural. It's not natural. In fact, that way, nature of a state of Marxism, fascism is different. Philosophy is different. Purpose is different. But as far as a structure of government, one party government here, one party here too. Therefore, as far as structure of government is concerned, it appears that they are somehow similar. And look, fascists justified their power on the name of sovereignty, and Marxist was also against the liberal state. And because of that Marxist state, because of that fascist state, liberal state redefined itself. Because of that problem, because see, initially first liberal state came in a form of nation state, and because of that threat from fascism and Marxism, fascist and one party state, liberals again try to redefine itself, because they thought that it is the greatest threat to them. And in that way, now liberal state incarnated itself into a plural state or a pluralist state. Liberal state emerged in a form of pluralist state. And see, pluralist state was not reaction against sovereignty. They never reacted against pluralist state. Doesn't mean that they are a opposite of a state. Always remember, pluralism is not anarchism. Anarchists oppose the state. Anarchists believe in statelessness. Pluralists believe in the decentralization of a state. Pluralists believe in the making a multiple power center of a state. That is a pluralist state. Robert Dahl, Galbraith, Mike Ivor. There are various scholars who believe in pluralist state, and therefore pluralist state came. Why? It is because of fascism. It is because of Marxism, and to some extent, why pluralist state came? Because state face first, when the federal state emerged in US, then the entire concept of a state changed. Why? See, these were the new experiment in liberal democratic nation. On the one hand, there was a federal state, and second, state also somehow under pressure of UNO, and there was international organization and some international laws too, and federal state too. And now state became a more welfare agency rather than regulative agency. These three reasons are very important behind the emergence of pluralist state apart from Marxism and fascism. So pluralist state were attacking over Marxist and fascist, and why pluralist state emerged and why they will disagree with the liberal state that was believe in the monoist concept of sovereignty, and monoist concept of sovereignty was developed by the Austin and therefore Lasky, Mike Ivor, and later Robert Hall. They also said that this concept of liberal state is not true because why? Because monist concepts of sovereignty believe that there is a one power center. Division of power means destruction of power, and federal form of government believe in division of power. It means the notion of Austin went wrong. Second point. See, Austin says that what is sovereignty? That is internally supreme and externally independent. But what happened now after Second World War? You can't act arbitrarily. No nation state can act in a very much arbitrary manner. We have to keep in the convention, rules and regulation of the world. And look like a powerful nation like China. When they are violating the international norms, people are opposing China. And therefore the concept of sovereignty also under the question. And then welfare state. Sovereignty means supreme power of exercising force and power. And here the nature of a state is changed. Now state became a service agency for Mike Ivor. State is a Galbraith says that state is service organization, it is not for making power. In that context, pluralist state came into existence. And pluralist state means it is a democratic state. It is a democratic state. It is a federal state. It means this was a new incarnation of a liberal democratic state and nation state in form of pluralist state. And see, we will discuss entire pluralist state in section of political theory. Why we'll telling the various models of a state. Therefore, we are not telling the pluralist model in detail because we have to discuss somewhere else too. But this is a three variant of liberal nation state. First with monarchy, then with liberal state, and then pluralist state. Although some you can also say no, why we can put monarchy in the liberal category. So you can make a two, because liberal democratic state or nation in form of nation state is three variant. Monarchy, this monoist concepts of sovereignty, and this is pluralist. But as far as a liberal democratic state and nation state, there are two variant, and first one is this monoist sovereignty, and second one is a pluralist concept of a state, which believe in decentralization of power, which believe in the devolution of power, which believe that power should be divided. And why power should be divided? And this is indirectly attack over the fascist and Marxist, because they supported the one party rule, they supported the concentrated form of power. So that was the reason why liberal state or nation state become pluralist. And see, as far as the state capitalism is concerned, which is part of Marxist state capitalism simply means how Stalin made a backward country belonging to agrarian economy, rural economy, like Russia. Russia became industrialized, Russia became capitalist because of the 5-year planning of Stalin. Although state and capitalism, that appears contradictory, because Marxists were against the state. But here, state is promoting the capitalism under their regulation and guardianship, and therefore it became a state capitalism. So this was a state. This is the development of a state. But as we are talking for today, Marxist state also changing itself, liberal state also changing itself, because we have to discuss about the capitalist versus Marxist state, and this is way how they evolve. This is the evolution of capitalist state through the nation state. This is evolution of capitalist state, and thereafter how this capitalist state getting challenged from the fascist and Marxist state. Then capitalist state, because whatever is liberal, that is capitalist. What is a liberal? Because liberal always believe in market economy. Therefore, this is the evolution of capitalist state, how they have evolved from time to time. Although fascist state is no longer existed today, therefore, let's see the recent evolution of capitalist, liberalist state means capitalist state, capitalist and Marxist state. Like the look, recent evolution. See contemporary evolution of capitalist state and Marxist state. That is very interesting. And what is recent evolution? See, whether you say capitalist state or liberal state, nation state is same. See, there are various models of capitalist state. One, capitalist state becomes social democratic state. And see, what is social democratic state? It is a nothing else but it is a welfare state. So now capitalist state change itself into a welfare state. It became social democratic state, and in England it was known as a Fabian state. In US it was Reaganism. Roosevelt, Johnson. They have incorporated some welfare principles, but second model of capitalist state, that is known as a developmental state. And there is a two variety of developmental state. So first is a social democratic state, and see, social democratic state is nothing but it was a welfare state. Then it was a developmental state. And see, what was developmental state? It was practiced in South Korea, Singapore, and East Asian nations and Southeast Asia. And that was a kind of miracle. They have adopted authoritarian state. They did not prefer the democratic state in Singapore, but with market economy. And look, that is the new evolution of the capitalist state. And see, in Germany and Japan, this developed state emerged to developmental state emerge in Germany and Japan. Like in Germany and Japan, this developmental state is somehow, it means developmental state means here state and corporate houses, they were worked at a partner. State and private factories, corporate houses, they work as a partner, and it means each and every factory in Germany and Japan, they were private. They have never tried to nationalize their economy like UK. But the social security for their workers was like what once was in socialist nation. It means in Germany and Japan, there may be capitalist state, but they are providing more social security for their workers, for their laborers, in comparison to the socialist state. It means capitalism may not be only a kind of exploitative state. So now it is developmental state. Now why developmental? They have registered huge economic growth. And look, that is reason England went for a social democratic state, and for that England adopted a mixed economy. England adopted a mixed economy. England preferred for the nationalization, and the same model India have opted. That is, we have drawn from England. But in 1980s, Margaret Thatcher realized that that model of mixed economy, that model of public sector is not sustainable. On the other hand, Germany and Japan, they have registered a faster economic growth rate. See, they have also adopted, Southeast Asian state have also adopted developmental state. What developmental state? This is new variety of capitalist state. But you look, East Asian nations, look, they did miracle in economic development. And see, people are more prosperous here in comparison to socialist nation. And these are eye-opener. These are eye-opener. And these East Asian nations provided authoritarian nation with market economy. And if you remember, see what Lee Kuan, Singapore, the former Prime Minister of Singapore, Lee Kuan said that democracy and development, they are opponent to each other. And former Prime Minister of Singapore, Lee Kuan says that We want development, and therefore they utilize capitalism, market economy with authoritarian state. But just opposite to Germany and Japan, they did not went for authoritarian state, but work for the capitalist state. And here it proved that capitalist state is now benefiting the people, and there is a rise of prosperity. And see, in like country like Japan and Germany, particularly in Japan, all the companies are private, but workers are never fired. Workers are never sacked from job. Can you imagine that kind of social security which is available, or which was available once upon a time in socialist state? And this is availability. See how variance of capitalist state. Although US US also adopted a capitalist state, but in US there is a policy of hire and fire. US, it is said that the social security scheme in US is a less effective in comparison to Germany and Japan and East Asia. And see, they have developed because of that capitalist state. State and corporate houses become friend to each other. And see, this is a lesson for India. What happens in norms in India? Whosoever became democratic, they always try to criticize Ambani, Adani. This has become a fashion to criticize Ambani, Adani. Look at the world. Because we have to develop, we have to attack the investment rather than, because until unless the entire economy is not developed, how we can make a nation prosperous? And look, this is a capitalist nation, and look, this is a transformation. And on the other hand, socialist state is also transformed. This is not a story of only capitalist state. Socialist state means we are referring here China, communist state, because this is a not social democratic state. Social democratic means a welfare state which is practiced in England and rest of the European nations, Scandinavian nation. And here, socialist state also transformed itself. And how it transformed itself? Because, see, state capitalism, because socialist one-party system, they have preferred the state capitalism. And very interestingly, in 1978, how China made a wonderful experiment. And probably that experiment could not be made in Soviet Union. Therefore, the state of Soviet Union disintegrated. And we are in fact reading out or studying the socialist state because of rise of China. Because China made a wonderful combination. And this is story which we should learn from China. Why? Because this was state capitalism. It means earlier, what is the belief of the socialism? That capitalism and socialism are just opposite to each other. And until and unless we will not destroy the capitalism, how we can bring about socialism? But China did that. In 1978, look the vision of Deng Xiaoping. In 1978, leader of China, Deng Xiaoping. Deng Xiaoping was in power, and he introduced modernization. And look, it was not a modernization. In fact, it was a liberalization, because socialists are very much hesitated to say the term liberalization. It was liberalization. It was acceptance of market economy under the veil of modernization. And you will be surprised to know that. And now Chinese economy is known as a market socialism. See, if we are using term market socialism, it appears contradictory with each other, because the term market socialism appears contradictory with each other. Market means it is for efficiency, it is for competition. Socialism means equality. Socialism means need. Market means capability. Market means Akshay Kumar, and socialism means a marginalized section of person. How they can become complementary? But China did that. China used the importance of market, but they never used the term liberalization, modernization. Deng Xiaoping spoke for modernization. And when Deng Xiaoping introduced modernization, and then Chinese economy was liberalized. Although the old guard of Chinese Communist Party, they were very much against the Deng Xiaoping. They said that you, Deng Xiaoping, you are killing the socialism. And Deng Xiaoping says that you fool, you don't know the future. And really, Deng Xiaoping was a visionary person who changed their economy. And now, in 2001, China became a member of WTO. And can you imagine the fact that now China is leading RCEP? And when the the king of capitalist nation like US is going towards, US is opting for the protectionism. US is opting for protectionism and US is going towards more protectionist policies, and China is leading the globalization, and this is a new incarnation of socialist state. Therefore, whenever we are studying socialist and capitalist state, they are not in a traditional sense. Now they are changing their variety. Therefore, socialist state is adopting the principle of market economy, and to some extent, capitalist state somehow fulfill the demand of social security and welfare. But as far as a form of government, that is different. In socialist state like China, there is a one party government, that is true. And it means economy is a market, economy is liberalized, but political system is not liberalized. But here it is opposite case. It is opposite case. But look, and the nation like North Korea, like Cuba, they are unsuccessful to do that. And it is said that after 2008 after 2008 economic crisis, people are again saying that now we are again going back towards state capitalism. And these are the recent comparison between capitalism and socialist state. And now the last part, which is in fact, last debate, which I tell you in a section of international relations too, is state and globalization. Look, now the debate between capitalist and socialist state is no longer relevant. Now the major issue is state and globalization. And see, what is happening? State and globalization, although state is important, will always be important in days to come. No institution can replace a state. So there is no doubt about that. But in case of globalization, how? State is getting challenges from the internal side, and that is said by David Held, Susan Strange. Susan Strange, David Held, they are of the view that state is getting challenges from inside. Inside means there is separatist movement, there is civil war, ethnic conflict. See, separatist movement like Basque in Spain, like Scotland in UK. So the ethnic conflict. So state is under pressure of some internal problem, and same time state is under the pressure from the external condition too, like WTO, like European Union, like United Nations Organization. See, this is the state in the age of globalization. Therefore, David Held says that, and Susan Stein says that we can't imagine of a sovereign state today. We can't imagine of a Hegelian or Hobbesian state today. And in that context, you look, there are some state and particular developing nation, they are more in a precarious condition, like Afghanistan. There are no failed state. Why Afghanistan is failed state? Because the basic job of a state is to maintain law and order. And if a state is failed to maintain law and order, then what is worth of a state? You remember the definition of Max Weber? Because Max Weber says that, see, utilizing or monopolizing violence over particular territory, that means a sovereignty. And in that case, if a state is failed to maintain law and order, what Gunnar Mildelwan said, that soft state, and that is a particular problem of developing nation, where people don't care about the law and order. And then what is worth of a state? Forget about the welfare function. First most important function of a state is regulatory. Failed state. Some people say that rogue state, ROGUE, rogue state means a kind of able state. A rogue state is North Korea. Although debatable concept, North Korea say that US is a rogue. US is axis of able. But North Korea, people say that North Korea is a rogue state. Rogue state means a state which does not stick with the international norms. Or they do not care of the rules and regulation of the world. So they are a rogue state. They are a failed state. Although that is always a debatable concept. Rogue state and failed state. Rogue state means North Korea. Failed state means Afghanistan. But As far as a developed nation is concerned, they are not neither rogue nor failed. But problem, internal problem, external problem that is faced by each and every nation. Look what condition, what turmoil that was faced by Britain since the concept of Brexit. So it is a David Held and Susan Stein says that now state is more in terms of federal state, decentralized state, just once it was in medieval age. Therefore, the concept of sovereignty is not applicable on the present state as we understood what was said by Austin. So now it is more pluralist state. Now it is more pluralist state because now state is under the pressure of various international organizations too. But despite the fact, state is one of the most important entity of not only international politics but domestic politics too, and that is true. So importance of a state is remain to be seen, remain to be intact. A state is not going to be disappear from our discussion and debate, and therefore once Garner says that politics end and begin with the state, and by that quotation we are finishing our entire debate of comparative politics, and that is all about comparative politics.